Hey folks, it's Abby and today I'm going to be going through 10 books that are going to expire within the next year. So I did this back in 2021 and I recently reacted to and unhauled as appropriate the books that I did in this video from last year. And so I thought it was time to set up another 10 books for me to get rid of, potentially. First up is a book that I have already DNF'd once and I am hesitating picking back up again, and that is This Savage Song by V.E. Schwab. I tried to read it and I got to page 40. I still have a bookmark that Carrie from Caring for Books got me in there, and I just didn't give a shit. So I ended up DNFing this one. This is one of V.E. Schwab's duologies, and this should be something that I like because it is fantasy based around music. I adore music and I love books that are based around it. The Pellinor series, for example. So I really want to read more. I either need to read it or give up on it. The Witchfinder's Sister by Beth Underdown was gifted to me by one of my best friends from high school just before we finished high school. So I was like 18. I'm 25. It's a historical fiction about the Witchfinder's sister. Then the next book is one that my current partner got me a few years ago because I really wanted to get it and I couldn't afford it at the time. It was secondhand, and so he got me it and I've still not read it, and that is Black-Eyed Susans by Heaberlin. It was £2. I need to read it. This is a thriller about a girl who survived like a mass murder. I say mass murder, it was more of a serial killer situation. Left with 3 other girls in a grave shrouded by Black-Eyed Susans, Tessa alone survived. And then 16 years later, the killer is about to be executed, but then someone is planting Black-Eyed Susans outside of Tessa's window. And so she feels like maybe the wrong person has been in prison all these years. And it goes and has a look at that. Sounds very interesting. I just hadn't been reading thrillers that much for the past couple of years, so I need to dive in. Then on something that I've not been reading as much for the past few years, All the Light We Cannot See by Doerr is a historical fiction. Now it is set in World War II, which I love. It's set in Paris and it follows a blind girl trying to navigate the occupation of Paris by the Nazis. It's just so big, and it's historical fiction, which I don't really read anymore. I used to love historical fiction. Most of my childhood books are historical fiction, with fantasy probably coming in second. But I just really don't read it in adult genres. But this sounds really interesting and I've had it on my TBR for years, so I'm going to try and get around to it. Then one that was gifted to me by Alex from Alex Black Reads, and that is The Unseen World by Liz Moore. This is a historical fiction. It's a contemporary set in the 1980s, I believe. And I just don't read that many contemporaries. It's about someone whose father is then diagnosed with Alzheimer's and the girl's world starts falling apart. I need to read this sooner rather than later. My grandmother is coming up to possibly getting diagnosed with dementia, but we don't know yet specifically whether it'll be dementia or Alzheimer or anything, so I should probably read this before it hits too close to home and becomes unreadable. Then we have Cilka's Journey by Heather Morris, the author of The Tattooist of Auschwitz. I read The Tattooist by ebook from NetGalley and loved it, absolutely sobbing, and so I immediately picked up this and Three Sisters by Heather Morris when I saw them, but I am just really hesitant to read them because they're going to be really tough reads. And it says it's based on a heartbreaking true story, and it's based on it, but she has then fictionalised parts. So once I've read it, I'll then have to then go and learn more about the actual situation if I can, if there's been any interviews done or anything, to find out what was real and what wasn't. This is going to be a damn difficult read, so. Then we have Red Queen by Christina Henry. There is literally no reason I haven't picked this up. This is signed by her, and when I went and got it signed, I liked Alice, I loved The Lost Boys, I need to read this book. Also Lizzie will murder me if I don't read it soon, so it's on the list. Another one, which hasn't been read yet for no particular reason, is The Gilded Ones by Namina Forna. I was so excited to see this. I know that people don't like solid colours on the sprayed edges as much anymore. I am in the same group, but like, look at the beautiful... I want to kiss it, but I'm wearing lipstick and it will ruin it. So this is a book that is about girls who have golden blood, and that singles them out and makes them outcasts, and how they fight back. This is all I know. It's YA fantasy, so I do really want to delve into this one. I just for some reason put it off, so it's on the list. Now I have no excuse. We shall see. Then the penultimate book, which is actually inside this bind-up, is The Silver Branch, which is by Rosemary Sutcliffe. This is another historical fiction, and this one is based in ancient Roman Britain. The Eagle of the Ninth Battalion, I guess. What are they actually called? It's not a battalion. It's not a battalion. Legion. Thank you very much, Blurb. So yes, the Eagle of the Ninth Legion is one that went mysteriously missing in Britain and no one knows what happened to them. So this is a fictionalisation of what could have happened to them. It was actually originally published quite some time ago. Rosemary Sutcliffe herself passed away in 1992. So this is not the most recent of books, but I do want to delve into it and actually get through this because my mum bought me this when I was a early teen. So I'd like to get through and actually read it. I've obviously been getting a bit more, again, into ancient Rome in recent times with my trips, so hopefully that'll inspire me. And then the last book on this list is Warstorm by Victoria Aveyard, and I can tell you exactly why this one has not been read yet. I've owned it for years, but it is approximately 650 pages in tiny writing, teeny tiny, and I read the Red Queen books really slowly. So yeah, knowing that I'm going to read through this a lot slower than normal, that the writing's tiny and that the book itself is big anyway, it's been putting me off reading this for a long while, but I just need to sit down and get to it, and that's what this is for. That is what the expiring books is for, to make me actually get to these. And if they're not that important, then they're going to be leaving, so better get to them. There's going to be some good motivation for things like Warstorm and Red Queen that are part of a series, and then also I'm not sure about the Eagle of the Ninth Chronicles, because that is a bind-up. So if I don't finish the second book, do I have to get rid of the bind-up as a whole? I don't know. I can't speak. Let me know in the comments down below a book that has been on your TBR shelf for far too long and that you really need to get to read. And then I'll guilt you, if I know you, into reading it. Becca, put a book in there. Caitlin, book. Carrie, book. Actually, Carrie, no, don't, because you've got about 1,000. But the rest of you, if you'd like to see whether or not I actually manage to read these 10 books in the next 12 months, then hit that subscribe button. Hopefully it won't be such a mad dash as it was last time, at the end of the last one. Thank you so much for watching, folks, and I'll hopefully see you in the next video. Bye.